Hey everyone, welcome to episode 38 of PixlFeed Radio, and I have my friend here, Billy Thorpe. Billy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing, Christian?
I'm doing all right, doing all right. For those of you that don't know, Billy owns a company called Thorpe Creative, and they specialize on custom apparel, promotional items. I know you just pivoted lately with everything that's going on, so we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about people who are starting out, whether it's with their own stores or Shopify stores, how they should do it, and I have so many questions for you because it takes me back to when I started a long time ago. Because I think everybody starts with t-shirts for some reason. It's like, I want my own t-shirts,
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get into a little bit of that. But before we get into that, man, let's tell everybody the story, how you got to where you're at today. How did it start, man? Were you one of those kids selling all types of stuff in school? How did that go?
Yeah, man, I was actually that kid that was, always trying to figure out how to make a little extra money, even from a very young age. And, one of the funniest stories, I always tell everybody this, I started in the porn industry and people are like, what are you talking about? But
What?
I was really young. I grew up in a trailer park. And so always a lot of kids. And about in that time, it was when the internet first came out, it was dial up. And so my brother was looking at some pictures he shouldn't have been and some naked ladies. And so I hit the print button and I print off about 10 of these images. And I went and sold them to all of our little trailer park neighborhood kids.
You know what's funny? I actually sold in school, in middle school, my friend Alfonso, hopefully he's watching this or listening to this, Playboys and Hustlers, because we had a friend who was 18, so he would buy them at the gas station, then we would sell them in school for like $10 a pop, and I think our cost at the time was like $3 or something like that. So yeah,
crazy. Yeah. So anyway, man, I sold these little images or whatever, and then I got busted. One of the kids' grandmothers came to the door, and my parents were like, "Did you do this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't do it." Of course, they found the stash. I had it in my laundry basket or whatever. So they found the money and the stuff. I got beat up, and not really beat up, but I got whipped, and then they took my money. But my parents were, even from a young age, were like, okay, this kid's like get onto something here, and so from that I went more to some legal stuff. Started mowing yards or whatever at the age of probably like 13, 14. My grandfather owned the trailer park I lived in, so I would just knock on every door and be like, hey, $10 a week, I'll mow your yard. And so yeah, I got 15, 20 yards out of it, and then mowed some neighbors' yards and really grew that little business pretty quickly. And then, I just stopped doing it one day. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I mowed yards. I'm going to do something else. And so,
it's funny that you bring that up. I just had somebody on, I think it was a few weeks ago, Brian Clayton, and he, I just went blank on the name of the app, of course, but that's how he started mowing yards. And now he has an app that's like the Uber of lawns. Like if you're somebody who mows yards, it connects you with the people. And if you need your yard mowed, it connects you with somebody to do it. And he's growing. It's grown to a behemoth of a company. And you should talk to the guy. I'll introduce you to him. It's amazing what he's done.
Cool,
yeah,
man. That's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, man. So I did that, and then I went and did the whole go to school, graduate high school, do all that stuff, and went and worked for somebody and worked at a nonprofit for like 10 years doing all their media stuff. And then I was getting married in 2014. It was like, dude, I gotta work. I gotta find a different way to make money or additional revenue. And I'd always been like the side hustle guy where I was like doing projects like graphic design on the side, doing logos or brochure designs or whatever. And a lot of times people would ask me like, can you put this on a t-shirt? And I was like, no, you can go to the guy down the road. He does it. I don't do it. And so eventually I went down there to pick up some shirts that I had ordered. And he was like, yeah, man, thanks for sending all this business my way. And he told me the amount of money, like potentially that we sent to him. And I was like, man, that's a lot more money than I make. Like,
you're right.
And so, dude, I started a journey where I just was like, I'm going to start a screen printing business. So I started watching YouTube videos like crazy, learning the screen printing process.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 33. I'll be 34 in a week.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So I just turned 40 Monday. So you already had YouTube, which is already a shortcut, man. When I was trying to figure out everything out about this world, YouTube was around, but it was for dumb videos. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't people creating content for you to learn. So like, I'm so jealous, but at the same time, like I just had a kid. He's so lucky that you guys have access to all this stuff from day one. And when people are asking all these questions, I'm like, dude, anything you need, just Google it. Somebody made content about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody would actually sit through my channel and watch every single Facebook marketing video that I made, they should be able to run ads. I could probably package all that up in a course and sell it for $5,000 easily.
And
you know what I mean?
You absolutely should.
Yeah, I probably will at some point, and but it's like, it's crazy, man. It's such an advance. That's great. Yeah, go ahead. So you started going on YouTube, and what happened?
Yeah, man. So I was started watching YouTube, and then there's several different ways to put something on a T-shirt, and so I went down a couple of those avenues, and then just so happened my wife was my girlfriend then, my wife now. Somebody in her family had passed away, and they were like, "Hey, this guy owned a screen printing business. We want to sell you the equipment." And I was like, I can come look at it, but I know how much equipment costs, and so it's going to be insane. So I went and looked, and I was like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. It's like a whole business, really nice equipment, really nice, all the stuff you need. Like, there's a lot of stuff in that business that you need. And they're like, I was like, how much you want for it? And they're like, yeah, we'll take 9. And I was like, yeah, 9,000. I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. And they're like, no, you don't understand. We'll take $900. Like, we want the stuff.
What?
Yeah, dude. It was insane.
I'm hearing 9,000. I'm like, write the check right away, dude. Because I looked into this stuff back in the day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, man. So basically the whole business, except for like one machine, they were like, yeah, it's $900. And here's this funny part and the sad part. I didn't even have $900. I was like,
what?
So I asked my girlfriend's dad, like, he's like, would you want it? Would you want to start a business? And he's a business owner, so he gets it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, but I don't have $900. Like, she said, I thought she was like 9,000. Totally didn't have that. 900, don't have that. And he's like, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you $900. Just pay me back. It's 7 years ago. Still haven't paid him back.
Wait, dude, I gotta hear details about it, because I did my research before I got into like the whole, when I came into this world with like digital and all that, I'm like, screen printing is the way to go, because it was before all the Shopify apps where like they will make the stuff for you to drop ship. And I'm like, and I was looking into DTG printers, and I was looking into screen shops. I mean, a DTG printer at that time was like $7,000, and it wasn't even like good. It was like okay quality,
Yeah.
And then I looked into screen printing equipment, and forget it. I was like insane. So I'm curious, like, what was included in those $900? Like, what, like everything, the whole shebang?
Dude, everything, man. So the press one, and it wasn't like a giant press, but it was a 4-color 2-station press, which was like plenty for me. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. It was like a 6-foot dryer that came with it. So you get the conveyor belt dryer where you put it on there and it goes through like 80 something screens. It was insane. All the inks that you could think of, all the squeegees. I mean, dude, it was everything. It was the emulsion, like the machine.
So it was clear that either this family was loaded and didn't care, or 2, they didn't want to deal with it. Or 3 is just like, they just wanted, like, whatever. They didn't know what was how much value.
They didn't want to deal with it, and they're like, "Hey, just get it out of here. Like, we've had a hard year. Like, just take it and go."
Wow.
And then they also gave me like a sublimation printer, and so we did some stuff with that. So, dude, it was pretty interesting, man. And so I did that. For a couple of years. I learned the process. I had this little warehouse. It's probably about as big as a bedroom that I worked out of. I slept on the warehouse floor several nights waiting for screens to dry to figure out how do I get this emulsion to work and make this stencil to push ink through it. And so then I met up with a friend of mine. I needed some vinyl cut to put on the back of some sports shirts. And it was a guy that I used to own an airsoft field when I was like 22. And so this was like 5 years before that. I started this airsoft field where people come and shoot each other with these little guns that shoot BBs or whatever. And so I met this guy there. And so he was like, "Oh man, you're the guy I used to own, 0 Hour or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's me." And he's like, "Oh dude, yeah, like you screen print." And so he kind of took me under his wing, showed me a lot of stuff. And then I started growing the business and kind of got into a couple big jobs that really wasn't my expertise and something I wasn't really set up to do. And so I started outsourcing it to him because he had a bigger printer, a better shop and all that. And about 2 years into the journey, and dude, it worked so well. I just kept sending him jobs. Like, I just kept outsourcing it. And so then I eventually just put all my stuff in storage and haven't turned back, man, and just been the customer facing side of the business, working on all the designs and doing, doing all the process with the customer, and then I outsource the print work to other people. So I'm not, you make a little bit less money, 20-30% less, but it's way less work. So, instead of doing a job and printing 400 shirts, and it takes me 12 hours as a solo person to manually print 400 shirts, now I can send it to the guy up the road who has an automatic press. He charged me way less than what my time.
So they're automatic now. It's automatic now.
It just depends on who's doing it, but some people have automatic, some people still have manual, and then some people have direct to garment, so you can print right onto the shirt. But
my thing is, like, I always liked screen printing because obviously I think the quality is much better, but it's obviously more expensive because you can't just use a bunch of colors at once. There's a process to it. For those that you don't know how it's done, I mean, maybe you can explain it better than I do because I don't know the correct terminology, but it's basically a mold. I don't want to say a mold. Is it called, or a screen? What is it called?
It's a screen. So essentially you make a stencil on a screen with some stuff.
Stencil. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, man. So to really kind of put it in the basic terms, you got to layer everything. Well, the process that we use is more like spot colors, and I mean, you can get really detailed, man. I mean, some people out there are just artists. I mean, they are really, really, really stinking good at different, CMYK processes and all that. We never have really gotten into that. We've been pretty simple. I have a simple sales process, and I really help nonprofits, because that's where I came from, raise money with T-shirts and custom apparel and different things like that. And so that's been kind of my expertise, is keep it simple, stupid, and sell it, and do another design and sell it, and not get super complicated and hung up in the weeds. So,
well, the reason why all these companies that, especially, like with Shopify or, the digital, if you have an e-com store where you want to drop ship, and well, one, it has its advantage because you can test a million designs at the same time, and you don't have to worry about, having stock to hold on. That's the biggest mistake a lot of people make, is they buy all this inventory and they don't even know if the design's a hit. When I started, I used to get emotionally attached to my designs, which I didn't even make myself. They were just my ideas, right? I'm like, oh my God, I love it. This is going to sell like crazy. And then I will throw it out there and crickets.
Yeah.
And then the design that I thought it sucked, but I just threw it out there just to have something extra on there, will sell like crazy. So you never know what's going to sell in terms of design. And that's why all these companies that are hooked up like T-Launch and Printful and stuff like that is, Custom Cat, is they use DTG because they don't have to deal with all the stencils and creative stencils and all that stuff. And that's why it's much cheaper. But the quality's, it's never the same, man. I mean, I still have, you think about it. Everybody that's listening right now, I bet you they have that one T-shirt from high school that's still going strong because it was, doing the right way, not DTG, right?
Well, and it's really like, in the technology of DTG has gotten so much better. I mean, it's so much better, even from 5 years ago. And I work with a company who prints with Kornit printers. And so just to give you an idea, there's
what is that?
So it's just, I mean, it's a direct to garment printer, but but I don't know. I think it's like I can't remember where it's made at. Maybe it's like an Israeli or company that made them. I can't remember. But anyway, dude, they're like top of the market for their particular machine. They got like 18 of them. They're $250,000 a piece. And these things are rocking, man. I mean, they look good. The print lasts. They can print pretty quick, but it's still a pretty manual process, even though it's, you still got to do certain things. And I don't have one, but I've seen them in action, and there's still like just different steps in the process, and maybe not as many steps, but it's a water-based ink versus plastisol. So plastisol essentially is melted plastic onto your shirt and into your shirt. So that's why it's staying there for 15 years or 20
Dude,
years.
I still have my t-shirts from my frat days. Like, I had to stop wearing one, that I wear around the house or whatever, just because it's gotten to the point where like now it's getting like cracked. I'm like, all right, I want to keep this for the rest of my life, so I put it away. You know what I mean? It's
all about the process, man. If people will cure the ink and they got their process down to get that ink to cure, it'll stay. Even water-based or because DTG is more of a water-based ink, it'll stay, and it'll stay for a long time. But if they don't have their processes down, it won't stay. And it's really tough to find a company that will, because I went on this journey because I wanted to be Shopify, right? I wanted to eliminate Shopify. I build my own web stores. I service my own customers' orders, and I work with all these other companies to do that for me, right? So I'm the middle guy now instead of Shopify or whoever. And so that's kind of the, custom.
So let's talk about that, because obviously you pivoted that way.
Yeah.
What made you make that decision? Like because, I'm thinking in terms of like, okay, that's great, but if you could grow the printing business, it's like you said, it's a lot of work, but there's ways to make it happen. I'm a sales guy since I was a kid, so I can sell anything to anybody. So what made you make the shift to, outsourcing the work now and then building the stores and taking it from that way,
Well, because, as an entrepreneur, one of my main goals is I work really hard to figure out how not to work at all.
Right.
And so if I can put systems in place that will work for me, then that's my goal, right? So with online stores, and I'll tell you a little lesson I learned. It's not all, whatever. It's not all running in the field here. I started this online store part of my business, and here's how I started it, and here's what I'd do different if I revamp it or whatever. I started it by going, hey, Christian, if you want to start a store with us, we will build the store for you. You pay us a startup fee for the store. We'll put your product on there, 1 to 2 designs or whatever. And then we will, from that point, we'll manage your store. So an order comes in, we'll take the order, and then we will go from there to fulfill the order for you or whatever. And so you can do this. You can build your own stores on WordPress like we do, and you can get the back-end software and system to communicate directly with these print and ship companies. So essentially you build your own platform to do that. And then, whatever, then you just set up as many stores as you want to. And so how I would do it different, though, if I could go back and redo it, I split profit with people right now. So if you order a shirt for $25 or whatever, we take whatever the cost is minus the cost, and then we split the profit. And so instead of doing that, what I would probably do is I would just say, Christian, it's $100 a month for your online store. You get all the profit. It's $100 a month. And that way I set up those back-end systems. And now all I got to do is go figure out, how do I sell 1,000 stores and have 100,000 residual dollars coming in every month, and not go, all right, order came in, I got to make sure the order's processed and all that stuff. Like, there's still a part of that to that, but then, bookkeeping and accounting and all this stuff, I'm split.
Right.
Big pain in the neck.
Which is what I deal with.
Yeah, right.
So
time consuming. And so really that's kind of if I could go back and do it again or relaunch or whatever, I mean, we'd probably go back and just say, hey, it's X amount of dollars, because you want that residual revenue. I don't want to just set them up and be like, here you go. Here's the vendor.
Well, let me ask you something. So I like the idea. Obviously it's a good idea. And obviously it's working for you. So how far do you take it? I know you build the stores, you connect everything, order comes in, you guys take care of it, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know without traffic, a store is useless. So how are we bringing traffic to the stores, and what kind of back-end, processes are in place? Are you doing, email sequences, text messaging, retargeting ads? What do you guys?
So that is where I don't play. I don't play that game.
Right.
I'm dumb, but I work with people who are public speakers, authors. We have a set of requirements for who we'll work with. They have to have a particular size audience. Otherwise, we're just not gonna play with them, because we're not gonna make any money. So it's like if every person was like,
gotcha. So so you're working with people that already have a following, like an organic following, that they can just throw a link out there and boom.
And what that turns into is sometimes those customers will start out on an online store, but then they'll quickly transition to bulk because they make more money with bulk. And that's how it is. It's like you make way more money when you order 100 pieces than when you order one piece. And so what that does is sometimes there'll be a transitional thing where they're like, man, this doesn't make any sense. Like, we sold, 100 pieces and we only made, $500. And like, if you sold 100 pieces any other way, maybe make $5,000 or $6,000, but it just depends on what the price is and how they do it. But they can make a lot more money if they order in bulk. And so that's the that's kind of the warm up, I guess, for some of those bigger brands or people who are really serious about it. They can kind of get into it that way. That's not I mean, online stores is like a very small percentage of our business. Most of it is up until COVID came into town, as I like to say.
Right.
That was like 99% of our business. And then, so that's been like a tough thing, man, because now COVID came and then business shut down. We work with nonprofit. We work with huge crowds of people. We work with churches and big gatherings of people. And so all those gatherings just stopped. So our business essentially just stopped. And then I'm like, all right, man, I got to figure out
what to do.
I got to figure out how to make money, how to take care of my family. And so just to give you the short version of that, 4 years ago, I started this face mask business. So neck gaiter, face mask, kind of think of Survivor, if you will. It's the buff that they wore. So I can't really call it a buff because that's the brand, but it's called a neck gaiter. And so I
just sort of want to put like over your nose and all down, right?
It's like a tube you put over your. I wish I had one laying around here. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about. It's just I never thought about the name, to be honest, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, man. So people, running, biking, whatever, outdoors. And so we started a company. And we custom designed these different fishing patterns because I'm in the fishing world as well, the saltwater fishing space. And so we were selling them to, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 retail stores, whatever. And that business wasn't that awesome. And so I sold it to a friend of mine, and then he tried it, and he's like, man, I couldn't get it to work either. And so basically someone called me.
Fishing's huge, man.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. But these guys called me during COVID, a kayak store, and was like, hey, man, I just sold 25 of those things. How many more you got? And I'm like, I don't have any. I don't have that business. I call my friend. He's like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with it. It's all you. I'm like, all right, I'm getting back into the game. And so we sold some like that to local stores. But, dude, I went right on eBay. I mean, I went where everyone's shopping, where everybody's at. And I think I've sold nearly $40,000 worth of those things, which has just been insane.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, man. So, for me, it's a little different taste of, I still crap on eBay all the time.
Right.
If I want something, I was like, I want a new pair of headphones. She's like, okay, great. Go sell something. And I sold $1,000 worth of stuff out of my garage. But I never really had a residual product like that. And so now, it's a little less now because everybody's kind of geared up with that stuff. But, there were days we're doing $500, $600 days, selling products, taking me 2 hours a day to work on it. And so I was like, man, I got to think differently about business. I
got stories for you. The golden days, I call it the golden era. And people are probably sick of hearing about this on this podcast, but it's just like, I go back and it's like one of those, it was like the golden years. It's like when Facebook went public with their ads. And you could literally spend $5 to $10 a day on Facebook ads and sell $2,000 worth of T-shirts if you had a winner. It was insane, dude.
That's
so
crazy.
Do the math. As soon as that hit, $5, $10 are making me $2,000 on one shirt. Let's drop 500, 1,000, 5,000 because it's the whole world. It's not just the US.
Yeah,
right.
That's crazy, man.
And then we have people like you just ship everything out. Dude, I sold shirts. I never even saw one physically in my hands.
Yeah.
I have one mistake my first $10,000 mistake. You'll laugh about this. I had my designer create a design, and I gave him the instructions, and it was this thing, and then the letters were black. And I didn't think about this at the time, but my dumbass picked the shirt color to be dark navy blue. And I sold $10,000 worth of shit. And then when people started getting them, like they couldn't read what it said because it was black and blue.
Oh my gosh.
So that was my first mistake selling T-shirts. That cost me a lot of money because, I'm not going to screw people over. So I basically took the hit and replaced all of them with like other colors. And it was a fucking nightmare, dude. I'll never forget it. Ooh, just the customer service part of it was just a nightmare,
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Well, and I don't know, people oftentimes ask me this question a lot. They're like, if you start a brand, one, they ask me, why don't you have a brand? And I'm like, well, first of all, that costs a ton of money to market and gain an audience for that when I can just sell the tools. I don't really need to I don't need to go dig the gold. I need to sell the shovel.
Right.
So, first of all, it's a ton of work. I've tried it. It's a ton of work.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of marketing dollars. It's a lot of upfront expense. It's a lot of trial and error, A and B testing. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to work with people. They got the vision. I got the tools. Let's give it to them. And I want to go even further in that, which I'll get into in a minute. But if I was going to start a brand, if somebody's listening and they're like, man, I want to start a brand, go freaking sell a hat or something. Don't sell t-shirts. This is the biggest mistake, especially if you're going to buy in bulk. Now, if you're going to do what you've done and use Shopify or Printful or somebody, but if you're going to make an actual brand,
like a streetwear brand,
like a streetwear brand or like a surf brand, like something you want quality of, something that you want people to like really build a community around, not just make a bunch of, make some money off of, but really build a community. Go for like a hat or something without any sizes, because you never freaking know what your audience size is and all this stuff, man. And so many people will buy bulk stuff and they'll be like, oh yeah, man, I want 100 smalls. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't know 100 people that wear a small. And then they'll buy 100 smalls and then they'll be mad at me because they didn't listen. And now they're sitting on 100 smalls. And I'm like,
listen to this. Listen to Billy, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have one brand that's fitness apparel. And even though that I've been in this game for a long time, I have plenty of data that I can, be like, okay, we need these many XLs, these many Ls, and I have an idea, for years of sales that, I know I'm going to sell X. So I have a good idea, but I have no control over the market. I have no control over COVID. You know what I mean? Like, I have no control over suppliers. And it's still a fucking nightmare. It's a nightmare. Like, obviously I have people who do customer service, but I see what comes in. It's like people don't look at the size charts. People just order. They're so used to just pressing a button. It's like the amount of refunds and exchanges you have to deal with. Which listen, I order stuff too that doesn't fit right and I send it back. It's just, it's part of the game. I mean, the advantage that I have is that I know what I'm doing. And for example, the retail return exchange average percentage is 6%. Mine's at 2.4. But it's still, that's money out of your pocket and it sucks. So I always said it, that I'll probably at one point, I don't have to deal with it that much anymore, but it's still a pain in the ass because of everything that goes to make it work. But any brand that I launch now, it's physical products. I don't want to deal with any type of sizes of apparel unless, like you said, like a hat. And that's it. And you still have different sizes for hats unless you get the plastic, Yeah,
exactly. Well, even with these neck gaiters, man, I mean, it's one size fits most, but you couldn't believe. And, I've been lucky, I guess, because I've sold probably, I don't know, maybe close to 6,500 of these, maybe close to 7,000. I haven't even checked the numbers. And maybe I've had like 100 come back or people complain. Most of my returns is USPS not being able to get the freaking package where it needs to go. Or I get it back. I got a package back today from like 3 months ago. I refunded. So I want
to return it 60 days later. I'm like, dude, it's like 60 days.
So dude, the important part for most people, if they're going to do, it depends on the strategy, but if they're going to buy bulk and they're going to order from a guy like me, then it's like, don't put 5 million colors on there because your profit margin just keeps coming down. More colors, less profit. Think about that. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, the more colors you put on this, the more creative
for printing. For
screen printing.
It's I forgot about that.
Yeah, man. It's like the more colors, the less profit margin for you. And then what happens is you get your profit margin and your sales price, or you get your cost price and your sales price too close together, and you don't make any money when those returns start coming back. Right now, I have a product that I pay like 35 cents a piece for that I sell for $7. Plenty of opportunity, like who cares? Even after shipping and all that stuff, if I lose it, I'm not crying over it because I've sold 20 more that day that well over covered it. But a lot of people, man, they'll call me and they'll want 15 colors on a shirt. And I'm like, how much you plan on selling this for? $25. Well, guess what? It's costing you 20. Like, by the time you ship it and everything, there's no margin. You're going to make 50 cents.
That's when you gotta have knowledge about branding. And if you don't have any knowledge about branding and marketing, you're not going to make it. Like my stuff, the apparel stuff, the average market price is between $25 to $30. I sell it between $100 $125. So I'm counting for the brand. I'm counting for my cost per acquisition with the ads, and I'm counting for my overhead and then profit after that. and I'm covered, but I know what I'm doing. And people think that they want to play the price game. It's like, dude, you can't sell a t-shirt for $25 with 12 colors and then run ads and then expect the money out of it. And then they get hit with a first tax bill that, Uncle Sam's asking for their money. And they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. I spent it all.
Go ahead and just take that 35% off the top.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man, dude, it's a funny world out there when it comes to apparel. But dude, even right now with COVID, man, it's all these big companies, these apparel companies have transitioned to face masks. And so I was trying to buy some hoodies the other day for a customer, and I can't even find them, man. I can't. So it's like,
really,
my business is scaling back up because everybody's kind of getting, like fed up with COVID stuff or whatever. And so they're kind of moving like, okay, we're going to start anyway. We're going to start building our brands back or whatever. But now there's no shirts out there hardly. And it's like everything that used to be readily available is out of stock. And so, you got to think about that stuff, man. You got to think about what kind of business can I build that doesn't lean on someone else? And I've learned a huge lesson with this, even with the stuff I'm ordering. So I'm ordering all these face masks, from a different country. And so, luckily I'm able to get them here. Luckily they go under the radar, and it's not big shipments that you got to wait on, and they fly, they don't float over. And so it makes it a lot easier. But I'm beginning to start to think that way too. Like, how do I sell something that I personally own? And what is that thing? What is that one thing that you own that nobody can take from you? And that's your knowledge. And so I started podcasting like a year and a half ago. Started a fishing podcast, built it up pretty quickly, sold my half of it to my partner because I was getting into real estate and doing something completely different. That didn't really work out, man. I sold like 3 houses super fast and didn't make hardly any money. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I don't know if I got in the wrong team or whatever, whatever. It didn't make sense. And so then, COVID came, and then my buddy that owns another fishing brand was like, hey man, I want to start a podcast. You want to partner on it? And so I built that one up super quick, getting paid from it, got sponsors from it. And so now people are calling me going, hey dude, can you help me start a podcast? And so I just sold my first $2,500 startup fee, podcast startup fee like 2 days ago. And so, man, I'm starting to think more in that direction. Like, there's good money in screen printing. There's good money in a lot of things, but I'm trying to be the teacher, and because I've been the student for so long, and I feel like I've paid the price to learn a lot of lessons. And so that's one of my goals in 2021 is, how do I move more into that teacher role, to look to those young entrepreneurs and go, hey, here you go, cut your teeth on this, like, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to be the next Ryanette and do all these screen printing videos, but if somebody wants to know how the business works and how you can literally, if you're a graphic designer, sure, you get paid $250, $100, $50, whatever your price is to design a t-shirt. But now how can you be the person who designs a t-shirt and then sells the bulk order to the same client and make 3-4 times as much as you would just selling the design? And so I want to teach, start moving in kind of that direction to sell the show, not go mine the gold. Like, let somebody else climb up the mountain and kill themselves trying to find the gold. I'll the guy who sold the shovel in the gold rush made a lot more money than most miners did.
And that's why I started, the YouTube channel and the podcast and all that stuff on my end. That was always part of the plan because, the stores are nice. That's all great. But I, also do it for clients, marketing and all that stuff. And the goal was at one point, I learned a long time ago during the 2010 recession that do not rely on one source of income, because I got screwed, and I got screwed hard. I was young too. I was like, my 20s. I didn't know any better. And I was spending money. Like, the faster it came in, the faster I was spending it 10 times worse. So that made me think, when I went into all, digital and all that stuff and launching all this stuff, it's like, all right, I need to build to the point where, like, I have brands, and part of those brands, one of them is going to be my personal brand that no one can replace, no one can imitate. You know what I mean? And it's what gets me, it's already getting me like big clients that I used to dream of working with, consulting to their marketing teams of what needs to be done, how they need to do it, because they don't know how this world works. They go to college for 4 years, they get a marketing degree, and then they go in the real world. It's like, we don't know what they're doing. Oh, Facebook changed overnight. It's crazy. So It's hard work. You know, people
pay a lot of money to go to school to learn how to learn.
Let's put it this way. I probably spend 10 times more than most people pay for a doctorate in college, just spending money with these platforms and getting courses for myself and reading. And I mean, I wanted to, you know, at one point I paid 15 grand for, you know, a mastermind, and that made its money 100 times. I don't even know how much now, but you know, I never stop spending money. I keep educating myself. And the reason why these people can't keep up with this world is like, one, because they don't concentrate on this stuff. You know, they have that 9 to 5 mentality. I go to work, I clock in. This is not my company. I do whatever is the bare minimum that I need to do. And then I go home and that's it. I disconnect. Yeah. Like when it's your own money on the line, when it's your own stores, your own brands, guess what? I fucking keep up with everything like a hawk, you know? And that's why my ads can beat Nike, you know, because I know all the workarounds and how to get the most bang for my buck. You know, some of these agencies that handle, or even internal marketing teams who handle these huge brands, they have a set and forget mentality because they never play with their own money. It's like, oh, here's the budget. We need to spend it all so we can get more next year. Yeah. You know, it's a mentality. I'm like, this is my money. I got to get the most back for every penny that I spend. So guess what? I figure out every little hack that I can figure out inside Facebook ads or whatever, you know?
Dude,
so it's a different mentality.
That's crazy. I never really got into Facebook ad. I mean, I dabbled in it, probably lost some money, not any serious kind of money. Right. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that I've always probably should learn. I mean, I probably shouldn't be saying that out loud, but I'm like, yeah, man, I probably should figure that out, or social media ads or whatever. You know, I don't know. I don't know the game there because I've always been the old school dude, like pick up the phone and call somebody.
It's a whole different ball game. Like right now I'm about to launch a store with one of my clients. One of my clients have been forever, and she's a designer. I'm not going to say what it is, but we have no competition because it's a product made by her company that no one else has. And this is what you know, when she brought it up, she's like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to sell, because she was local. She was a local client. I'm going to be able to sell like in New York and California. I was like, no, you'll be able to sell in fucking Russia. Like, you know, like your product is going to be sold all over the world. Like there's billions of people that use Facebook. Like it's not only Facebook, it's Facebook, Instagram, Google, you know, it's this. I mean, you can scale pretty hard if you know what you're doing, if you have a good brand. So, I mean, but if I had to give you advice at this point, it's like, it's not easy. I mean, I ran into Facebook ads by pure luck, to be honest with you. It was just, I was looking into the whole t-shirt thing because I always wanted my own brand. And then I was talking to somebody, and I always wanted to do something online because I'm a PC guy, and I've been building my own computers. And, you know, when Google and all that, I was like, I always wanted a quote unquote, a website, but I never knew what I wanted. It's like, I just knew that I wanted something online. And at the same time that I was looking, you know, after the 2010 recession and all that stuff, you know, I was already dabbing into the whole, no, it was right before. It was like 2009. I was diving into the whole, you know, t-shirts and brands and all that stuff. And I'm like, how am I going to sell it? And then I was looking into Google ads, and they were super expensive. And then I think it was 2010, Facebook ads became public. Like anybody could jump in and start advertising. And I just happened to see it it was a pure accident. It was complete accident. I saw a post somewhere, clicked on it, took me down a rabbit hole to a forum. Then I kept reading. And I found my first course that I paid $300 for, and that was it, man. I got hooked. And, you know, but when I started Facebook ads, it was simple. It was just like, here's an ad on the right-hand side column, and I put money in, and that's it. Now it's like, there's 128 combinations for campaigns. You have ad sets, you have manual bidding, automated billing, you know, I mean, it goes on and on and on. So
crazy.
The reason where I'm at is because that knowledge has been ongoing from day one. Like if I had to sit down and learn Facebook ads today, it's like, holy shit. Like it would not be easy at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time, I don't do Google ads. I log into Google AdWords and I get, what's the word I'm looking for? I get, not anxiety. What's the word? It's not anxiety. It's not scared. It's overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by the dashboard because it's not familiar to me. And it's, you know, it's like, I don't want to touch it. Like let my partner Jason deal with Google ads. I know he knows what he's doing. I know how they work. but I don't want to touch them. So, but it's definitely, I mean, if you're working with these people that are public speakers or influencers, or they already have a brand of their own and they're already doing tons of sales, it's definitely something you want to look into, man. Like icing on the cake, fuel on the fire, because you can take it to a whole different level, especially if they already have a following, for sure.
Yeah, man. And it's kind of crazy, like just the amount of stuff you can do online. Like for instance, like I just got into, like doing my own business podcast, and really not even that big of a following.
What's the name of the podcast, by the way?
It's just called Thorpe Creative Entrepreneur Podcast. And so really I started before all this stuff happened, and I was really just starting it, one, because I loved podcasting. I did the first fishing podcast. And then I really got into podcasting, and I was like, dude, this would be a great way. Like, instead of calling somebody and going, hey, you want to buy t-shirts? I call them and go, hey, I love what you're doing. Come tell your story on my podcast, and really use it for a networking tool. I mean, that was the idea behind it. And, it's kind of like the lawn guy who has a bad looking lawn because he doesn't come home and do his own work. But how my business podcast is right now, it's like still that fun thing. But yeah, man, got into that. And now we're getting ready to launch a podcast studio here in our town. But then also doing podcast consulting, which is, I've been doing media stuff for like 10, 15 years. So it's not, getting a nice camera shot and some nice lighting and all that stuff is dusted off the old how-to books, and, really went back to the drawing board. But really, people are calling me because they're like, dude, your stuff looks so good. Like, help me get there, and so, yeah, man, I'm like, I'm always 4 to 5 streams of revenue. But in being that way, talking about affiliate marketing has been insane, because I've put the equipment, and I don't even really do any Google, like reviews or YouTube shows or about reviews or anything. I just kind of tag all my gear on each one of my videos, and I don't really get that many views, to be honest. But still I get like commission checks.
Yeah, that's the best. I
mean, like, I'm sitting here like, dude, this is so dumb. I just put a link. I don't even talk to anybody. I don't have to explain anything. I just go, here's my equipment list, and people buy stuff and I get paid. Here's the software I use. People buy stuff and get paid. And so, for anybody who's just doing that, like, just try that. Just go sign up and you can be an affiliate for anybody now. I mean, I think like Best Buy, Walmart, Target, whoever, they all have those affiliate programs. And that's
I mean, I tell people all the time, and I say it in here, I said in my videos, like, the money's on the list. If you have a list, you'll never go hungry. Like, that list belongs to you. And, I do affiliate stuff too. And I recommend what I personally use for everything. Like, hey guys, this is what I use for this. Check it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, you don't. But, I was, all my emails and all, it's all straight up value. And it's just like, this is what I use. So if you want to check it out, go ahead. And that's what I call mailbox money. It never stops, which is great. Because it's not like you're just selling something to just sell something. It's actually that you use, and it can help whoever wants to learn or take it to the next level. So, why not get paid for it too, if you're, going to show them how to use it.
Yeah, man. I love it, dude. That's what I'm a little late bloomer, but I'm getting there. I'm learning it. And I've been
you gotta make offers all the time. So
I've been hustling hard now. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to.
You're like me, man. You just want to get your hands on everything, and I only have so much time. Like, I only have so much time. So podcasting, though, what made you get into podcasting? I mean, obviously the personal brand and the benefits of it, but did you grow up like listening to a lot of the radio stuff like that? Because like when I moved to the States, I started listening a lot to Howard Stern, like every day. I still do to this day sometimes. And I became obsessed with radio. So, I started listening to local shows, just that's how I learned a lot of my English, just listening to radio as much as I could. And that developed my love for like radio and podcasts and all that stuff. Well, before podcasts, but it was one of those, it's like, oh man, I would love to do radio, but am I willing to eat shit for 20 years to make a decent living? No, I don't love it that much. And then podcasting came to, like, yes, I can talk about whatever I want and just put it out there, and then somebody will watch it. Is that how it works for you?
There's no rules. Yeah,
There's no rules. I can do whatever I want.
So, dude, where I worked in the nonprofit space, I worked on a TV show, and so it was pretty cool. I mean, it was a talk show. It was all over the world. I guess I should say talk show. It was like a solo host, and so anyway, it was really creative. I was on the back end of it. I was behind the camera. You know, we were doing all kinds of fun stuff with the boom and the camera and the mics, and it was really. I've always been real techie. Love to plug stuff in and see how it works. And so I've always just been attracted to that part of it. And so then I got out of that, and then I got into the screen printing world and dealing with customer service and just trying to help everybody build their brand. And so, like I'm seeing people who are, running, dude, they're running hard. They're building businesses. They're selling ebooks like crazy, making $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 per month on one ebook that they write per month. And I'm going, man, this is crazy. Like, I think I know stuff, man. I think I have some value that I've learned and that I've grown in, that I've figured out that I could put out there, but I don't have an audience. And so really podcasting for me was one, I wanted to start this, I love fishing. It's I don't go every day or anything like that, but it's a passion. I like it. And so I started a fishing podcast. And really, it's super fun, talk about it, learn about it, whatever. So for me, one, I learn a lot when I'm podcasting, especially with other people and interviewing them. Tips and tricks and strategies. And, it all kind of comes together in these little nuggets that you get. And you're like, oh, crap, man, I've learned something today. And so that was really fun. And so that was my first podcast, and it kind of got my feet wet. And dude, if you go back and watch that video, man, it just sounds horrible. It looks bad. I mean, it was just
mine are all horrible. I'm still working on it. So at one point it'll get polished, but now I'm a big believer of, I don't put money into it until it makes me money. So guys, I'm sorry. My webcam's going to stay 720 until YouTube sends that big check, which I'm super close to getting monetized.
All right.
And then, my podcast side of it, that one's monetized, but it makes like nothing because I just started it. It hasn't been too long. So
yeah, man. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it, and what I learned pretty quick, because I'll compare the fishing to my entrepreneur podcast. The fishing podcast is super niche. It's saltwater fishing. It's really, and all about targeted audiences and dialing it in, and, there's riches in the niches or whatever people say.
Yeah.
And so really it's like it grew fast, man. The first one grew super fast, and the second one I'm doing is growing super fast. And so it's really easy, even after 4 or 5 episodes, to get monetized, because it's like it's growing so quick. And you're like, holy crap, man, this is insane. So we monetized that podcast, I think on like episode 7, the second one I've done.
Yeah.
And so now, we don't make a ton of money, but I make like $100 an episode, and my buddy makes $100 an episode. And we haven't even really pushed any more advertising, because we're just trying to build our audience, because I want to sell those, bigger packages and 90-day packages rather than just, episode packages or whatever. And so
what platform do you prefer? Like, I'm using Spreaker for the podcast side of things.
Man, I used Podbean like a long time ago for a project, and I just went back to them. I don't know the difference. I don't know how good they are. I don't know any of that stuff, but I didn't really look into it. I was like, oh, $14 a month. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. It was just recommend. I just went in a group. I was like, hey, what's the best platform for a podcast? I don't care how much it works. And then Spreaker's the one that came up like a million times. And I like it so far. The only thing that I can't understand yet, and haven't even looked into it, but I know the basics of SEO, is what drives me nuts is like when I go to tag the episode with tags, like you can't space between words. You can't use long tail keywords. So I have to like smoosh everything into one keyword. Is that the way that you do it on your end too?
Man, I'd have to log in and look. I think it gives me 2-word options, but I don't know, but it does limit. So like on mine, you can only have, it's like on your account, I think, unless I'm doing something wrong, but it's like on my account only gives me like 20. And I'm like, this is stupid, like whatever. And then I can select out of those 20 which one, or if I can delete those and then put more. But we're really focused on our YouTube channel. I mean, we haven't really focused on the downloads, like listens, as far as the podcast. I mean, it does pretty good per episode. But we're really focused. Our thing is like, hey, let's build one platform. Let's build it quick and monetize it Of course, I don't know I don't know how kosher it is to to sell advertising and then also monetize. So we'll probably go one direction or the other, just whichever one pays.
Well, I'll give you a little piece of golden information. So my YouTube channel, if I wanted to, I shouldn't be saying this, but let me use secret words here so you get the message. I don't want the algorithm to pick it up, but there's ways where you can acquire a YouTube account or whatever, and it's ready to go. It's monetized, ready to go. Or there's ways where you can literally send real traffic to it from real human beings to get it monetized super quick, or to bump your videos to the top right away. You got to pay for it, but you can say, hey, I want 3,000 views, average 6 minutes, in a space of 7 days, and it happens. Right?
For you.
Allegedly, I've heard of it. I haven't done it myself, which I haven't. I mean, if you look at my channel, it's not even monetized. You can see the number of views. And there's a reason why I did that, because I wanted to see how long it would take me to do it organically, knowing what the fuck I'm doing. And in a niche that is so hard to rank, because let's face it, how many people are searching about Facebook ads or, even digital marketing in general? I'm not a, 15-year-old kid with a makeup tutorial. Those are the ones that get millions of views.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
So it's almost there, but here's the kicker: is when it monetizes, I know for a fact the more ad breaks that you put in, the more YouTube is going to push your channel, because that's how they make their money.
That's how they make money. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm going to load mine up with ads. Sorry guys. But like I said, out of those 100 videos on how to do Facebook ads, I could have wrapped it up in a course for $5,000. So if you're going to watch them, you're going to put up with some ads. People don't care. They're used to ads.
Well, dude, and my thing is too, man, and I follow these guys.
A lot of work.
It's a ton of work, man. But I follow these guys. They're videographers, wedding videographers. And so they met up, they did a job together, and they started talking business. And one guy sold his wedding videography package for like $15,000, but his work wasn't as good as the other guy. And the other guy only sold it for like $5,000 or something like that.
Social proof. Yeah.
So they're like, you know what? Let's work together. Let's, I'll help you build a better product. You help me with my sales package. Right. And so they started doing that. Well, they started a podcast. And so they started talking, whatever, quickly built up their audience within like 18 months to like 5,000 downloads per episode. So essentially 5,000 people were listening to their show. And then from there, dude, they went right to like one of these music providers of like royalty-free music, or where you can, subscribe and get royalty-free tunes or whatever for those videos. And then those people started paying them. And so now I think they make somewhere between like $15,000 a month on their podcast. But then they also, in parallel to that, built a Facebook group, built that community, and then they also sell ads on the, on the top thing as well. And so I think it's a pretty interesting, business model to really build a community. And like you're saying, build that list. And it's just thinking of ways to do that differently. And I think, podcasting, if you can niche down, because I do this entrepreneur podcast. And so I have thousands of downloads on this fishing podcast every month between YouTube and, iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and all those places, thousands of downloads or views. And then I have this entrepreneur podcast that is just like, nobody cares, because I'm talking to everybody and anybody about whatever in business. And so it's not niche enough. And then
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I was listening to another podcast with people who have a daily show. One, I'm like, that's crazy. I don't have enough time for daily.
I don't know how they do it.
And this guy's like, well, what is your daily show about? And they're like, horses. They're like, we've been doing this full time for 7 years, and we talk about horses.
How the fuck do you even talk about horses every day for 7 years?
Dude,
every day.
Okay, so for 90 minutes, an hour and a half every day, talking about horses, and they have a huge community, man. You'd be shocked if you knew how many. I mean, it's just insane.
I believe it, because I know people who have sold horse products, so I know I've seen it. So, but this is what's crazy to me. This is what people don't understand. Like, okay, my channel, for example. This channel, if you're watching this on here, I know for a fact that the videos that most people watch my Facebook marketing videos, because everybody wants to know how to advertise on Facebook.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is that that's 50% of your problem. If you don't know how to properly build a site for conversions, if you don't know how to niche down, if you don't know how to sell, if you don't know how to split test, guess what? You can know everything, every little hack that I teach you about Facebook ads, but it's not going to work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So another one of my series is just, marketing and sales in general. Those get some views, but nowhere as near as Facebook. And then third is the podcast, which most people listen to the actual podcast side of things, because most people don't sit around, YouTube to watch a 1 hour video, and a podcast is just two people sitting here, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think people understand how hard it is to come up with all this content. Like, even though that I know everything about Facebook, it's not like I can just get in front of the camera. It's like, I'm going to talk about this today, which I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't plan my shit ahead because I'm not a professional YouTuber. That's what I do for a living. And when I put out a video for Facebook, I literally think about what I'm going to talk that morning. Yeah. And then I break it down and how I'm going to explain it so it makes sense for you guys. Right. So even though I do it that way, I still got to sit down and take the time to plan it out of like, how am I going to show this? How am I going to make it make sense? Is it better for me to get in my computer and show the screen? Or is it better for me to be in front of my whiteboard so I can just show it, a diagram? There's little things that all that thought that goes into it. Then you have the lights, then you have the camera, then you have the microphones. Then when it's done, someone has to edit it. I don't have the time to edit it. So guess what? My graphic designer has to edit my videos, right? Yeah. This podcast, that goes to an audio guy that's going to edit the whole thing for the audio side of things. I don't have the time to do it myself, nor I want to do it myself. Yeah. So when you see my stuff loaded with ads, I got to get paid. You know what I mean? It's like, I haven't even done the math. I'm going to make a video about it, about how much money I spent before the channel was monetized, which I'm so close now. I'm super excited. It's probably going to be like nothing at first, so I don't care. But I'm going to show you guys the math of how much I spent just to get the channel monetized in a niche that is super difficult and super hard. But the advantage of it is I know my niche is one of the most expensive CPMs out there. So, even though I'm not going to have millions of viewers, I'm making like quadruple of what most people make with like a few views on YouTube.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Well, and if anybody's thinking about making podcasts or making content, I've learned a really good strategy for because I'm the same way. I'm like, man, if I get inspired, I'll make a video. That's why I don't have a bunch more videos. I don't have a bunch more podcast episodes, because I'm like looking for inspiration. And so I was kind of doing some research on how do you get inspiration. And a couple of these big guru guys are what they do, man. It's insane to me. And I can't even believe they admitted this. And I won't even say the names, but this guy was like, basically, I go on Amazon and I pick books in my niche. So if it's business or if it's, cameras or whatever it is, and I look at the, 2 to 3 stars ranking books and see what people do not want to know about. And then I look at the other books and see what people are interested in, and I make my content based on those topics. And then also this person will go to YouTube or whatever and look up that niche and see what are the best selling top YouTube videos or whatever topics. And then he'll go basically just create his own rendition on that topic. And it's, that's it, man. It's like regenerating content or regurgitating content, which we all do. There's nothing, in my opinion, nothing new under the sun. Like, I haven't learned anything on my own. I've always been taught or shown. And maybe there's some stuff I think I've come up with, but dude, your brain is so spongy, like your whole life. Like, who knows what I've really come up with and what I've just.
Oh, I'll tell you right now. I mean, when it comes to Facebook ads, I want to say, if I had to do the math and break it down, just Facebook ads by themselves, I would say 45% of it I came up with, 40% of it I came up with my own, like stuff that I discovered, and the other 60 is for people like me who've been doing it forever, and we just share our knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some stuff, it's like, when I hear about it, I'm like, how the fuck did you come up with this? Like, how did you even think about this? How did you even think about combining these two things together and testing it with this? Like, it's beyond my, just like, I'm sure I blow people's minds when I explain something to them that are newbies or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's crazy, man.
I have no problem with that. Just give credit to where the credit's due. Talk about, I give a little credit to Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson. I learned a bunch of stuff from them. And then I've read so many books. Like, if you're watching in my videos, that's not even all my books. That's just a few. And that if I had to sit here and be like, where did I learn this from? I can't pinpoint. Like, some things stick out because it's just like those genius genius ideas or whatever that just hit that mark. But most of it, I don't know where it came from. It's one of those books, but I can't pinpoint like who exactly. Like if I had to break it down, I say like real sales, like how to sell something, Zig Ziglar. How to sell online, Russell Brunson. How to take your sales to the next level online or offline, Dan Kennedy. Copywriting, Ogilvy. You know, he used to own one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. I think it's still around. You know, I can pinpoint some of those.
Oh, man, where's Gary Vaynerchuk in that?
I like Gary. Actually, you know what? I learned some stuff from Gary. What did I learn from Gary? Let me see. Let me go back. Okay, so what I learned from Gary, I did learn how important content is, just organic content.
Man.
Because I have an advantage that I can run traffic and make anything happen. So, but I learned the importance of content and creating that content for each specific platform. So mad props to Gary on that one, no doubt. The thing that drives me nuts.
How yard sell from Gary. No.
The thing that drives me nuts about Gary is I'm not the motivational type of person. Like I get up and get shit done. I don't need to watch a video to get me going. I don't need to like the whole, care, be better. Like that's not me, man. That's just, it's not in my DNA. Like I care about people, but I don't show feelings. Like my wife can tell you this, or like my parents. Like I'm like a cold stone Russian when it comes to that stuff. So like, am I going to be there with my videos and telling you to go for it? Anybody can do it? No, dude. I'm going to tell you, either you're made for it or you're not. Either you make it or you don't. If somebody has to push you to do it, you're not going to make it. I mean, that's the reality of it.
That's true. Yeah.
He makes a lot of money from that. So I'm not hating on that either, but that's just not me. But yeah, I did learn. I have his books. I have all three of them. The one thing that I take from Gary Vee that always stuck with me is jab, right hook, which is three pieces of content and ask for the sale. Yeah. But that sales basics too. But he's the one that got me engraved with the way that I put content out or even ads, you know? So I give props where props is due, man. And the guy built an empire too. I mean, come on, you can't take that away. VaynerMedia is no fucking joke.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said maybe even 2 empires. Depends on how much he did for his dad, I guess. But with the wine business.
Yeah, that's a little bit of, listen, I came from a family with money. So, this is no secret. I came with a family with a lot of money, but we lost a lot of money. And that's when reality set in for me. That was in my early 20s. But I'm going to give you what the difference is with the mentality. When you come up with money, even if you work hard, because my dad always told me to work hard no matter what, and I always had to have a job no matter what, is that if something happens, you're taken care of, right? At least in my family. If something happened, I can just like, Dad, I need money, and it was done, right? I'm sure if something happened to him, his dad would have given money. And his dad had already had a pretty good business going on. Yeah. Now, did he have to go and take it to the next level like he did? No. But he still did it. Now he had an advantage over everybody else. And let's face it, guys, not every story it's how it's told either. So the whole like, you shouldn't do shit in your 20s and live in a 1-bedroom apartment with 10 people. Like, no, dude, I was partying every day in my 20s, and I lived, by myself. Well, one roommate, and I party every day and worked hard. Maybe I could have been a trillionaire by then. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you only live one life. It can't be, I enjoy what I do for a living, but I like to have fun too. You know what I mean? So that's what bothers me a little bit about it. It's like all these kids feel like this pressure. It's like, hustle. I got to work 24/7, 7 days a week and never stop, and like 18-hour days. Like, if you enjoy it, sure, do it. But I'm a big believer of you should have fun. I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
And I think you have to figure out how to be efficient in those. We have a 2-year-old, and so my wife and I have been battling this. I'm thinking about starting a babysitter service just to have some consistency. But you got a babysitter, and then they're gone, and we had one quit this week, and it's like annoying. Like no warning, nothing. Like, I'm having a bad day, I can't come to work. Okay, cool. Text the next morning, hey, I quit. I'm just having too much going on, and so I get it, but it's like, for me, like, I've done a lot of stuff and stay busy because I like being busy. I like, doing a bunch of different things and creating or whatever. But now that we don't have a babysitter, I'm like, okay, I got 3 to 4 hour window, and I just crush, dude. And I can get what most people get done, or what takes them 10, 12 hours, and get it done in 4. And my wife can get it done in 2 because she's way more efficient than I am.
Yeah.
I think you can get a lot more accomplished and still do those things. You know, but I do think we live in this weird kind of world, man, where these kids grow up on social media. And, you know, I'm not bashing social media. I'm a fan. I think there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of positivity in it. But then also, I think there's a lot of crap in it, man. I think like a lot of kids are looking to the like button for affirmation and permission to live and permission to start that business and permission to take that risk and permission to, you know, do whatever it is. And it's like this big magnifying glass. You know, when we were growing up, man, like, okay, cool. We had, you know, dial up and we had, you know, whatever, AOL, you know, we had chat rooms. That was it, dude. But we didn't, it wasn't like the pressure that these young
I get messages, man.
So,
I get messages all the time, like here through YouTube and my personal accounts. It's like, dude, I'm so pissed off. Like my store, like I launched my store. It's been such a hard work and fuck, I just want to be a baller like all these people. And I'm like, when did you launch your store? What is it? It's like literally 3 months ago. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Like it's your first store, dude. Like my first few stores failed. I lost a lot of money. Like it took a long time. But the problem is to see this Instagram accounts, everybody renting Lamborghinis and mansions here in South Florida. Yeah. Dude, I could rent a Lamborghini today for $500 and drive it around Miami all day long.
It's so dumb. Yeah, man. And I think if people, and the funny part is, it's like you got a lot of young people, and I was like this too, like, I want to be a millionaire.
Oh, me too.
And then you're like, well, why don't you learn how to be like a $20,000 guy and then a $30,000 and then figure out how to add another 10 to that every year or whatever, you know, figure out how to make 100,000. And then because, you know, you never know, you might make $74,500 and you might be super happy. Like,
my thing is like, you know, I wanted to be the guy who could buy 10 bottles at the club and all this shit. It's like, it was just a different mentality, man. Now it's like, now my son's only 13 months old, but I'm going to teach him is like, forget about everyone else, man.
Yeah,
forget about everyone else. You. Just do your thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, I hate to say it, money pays the bills, but doesn't buy you the happiness you're looking for. It really doesn't. It pays the bills, which gives you a peace of mind. Don't get me wrong. It does give you a peace of mind, but like everything else, man, think about the first car you really wanted. Like, you know, I remember when the Z came out and I wanted a brand new Z and I got it, right? And I felt fucking great for like the first couple of weeks because I was young when the Z came back. Yeah. And it was a big deal for me to spend, what was it, like close to 50 grand on a car or whatever. And I bought it, and then after a few weeks, you forget about it. It's like anything else, dude. I know people with Ferraris and Lamborghinis, especially here in South Florida, and they tell you the same thing. It's like you buy it, and once you have it, it's like anything else. It's like, I have it.
Yeah, because the fun is the journey and figuring it out, man.
Right.
Figuring out how to get it, figuring out how to do the work, figuring out how the podcast works or the business works. And that's why, you know, for me, I start, God, my wife probably kill me. Like every day I'm thinking of something else. Like, oh, this is a cool business idea. That's a cool business idea. And she's like, you just got to stop doing
it. I have a fucking whiteboard to my left with shit that just pops randomly in my head. And I just write it down. Like I could literally wake up. If I lost it all today, I have at least 10 ideas to go off. Like they just sit there because
dude, and that's when COVID hit and I got, you know, $10,000-$15,000 worth of canceled orders in one afternoon in my email. I did, man. I sat at my desk and cried for a minute. But then like a few days later, like there was this like weird, like, oh yeah, this is game on. Like this is fun, man. Like this is why I got into this thing, right? This is why I started business. Like, oh, a challenge. All right. Am I really an entrepreneur? Then it started that, you know, then it started like that cycle of like, all right, man, where can I, you know, what am I doing next? And so I've enjoyed it, man. I've enjoyed the chaos in a sense of trying to, you know, just rediscover myself and right now even reinventing myself. So maybe if we talk in a year from now, I come back on your podcast, I might not even be doing t-shirts. I might not even know where to buy a t-shirt from. You know,
and it makes sense because like I grew up playing all those adventure games where you have to figure out puzzles all day long. That's basically what entrepreneurship is. It's dealing with headaches all day long and figure out how to fix it. You know,
absolutely, dude.
So
absolutely, man.
All right, man. We've been going for a long time. It doesn't even feel like it. Way past. But listen, man, I have truly enjoyed the conversation. Definitely going to have you back at some point. And Billy, where can everybody find you, man?
Man, probably the quickest place to find me is just on Instagram. Just look at my tag or whatever, at Thorpe Creative. pretty easy. Or thorpecreative.com is our website. And then, whatever, man, we like to connect with people. And like I said, we have a podcast as well. It's the Thorpe Creative Entrepreneur Podcast, and we're getting ready to launch another business. And we'll kind of launch that, but it's going to be called Copilot, where we're going to be helping people launch their own podcast. So yeah, man.
Sweet, man. That sounds awesome. And I'll put the links in the description for you guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe. And if you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. And guys, I will see you in the next episode. Thanks again, Billy. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thanks.